Hey, this is Brett from WPThemeSpeed, and today we are going to be looking at how to set up the Executive Pro theme from StudioPress. This theme normally runs $44.95. If you purchased a theme from StudioPress in the past, it's $33.71, unless you have the developers package, which gives you access to all of their in-house themes. So we're going to essentially take the Executive Pro theme and set it up on our own site. We're going to emulate the setup of their demo site. And we do this because we want to test the demo site on our own servers to see how fast this theme runs. We have covered the Executive Pro theme before on WPThemeSpeed. We covered version 3.0. We did not do the setup for that video though. We botched the audio in that particular one. We do have some speed tests though from 2013 in case you want to take a look at how fast it ran before. And we're going to set up the new one. The new version just dropped in June of 2014. Let's jump right in and we will attempt to set up this demo site, or set the site up to match the demo site. Okay, so first things first, we need to load in the theme itself. So we're going to go into our site. Now, for purposes of building this theme, we're working on a server that's on WP Engine. Later we'll copy the same setup onto some of our other servers and we'll test each of them to see how fast this theme runs on each server. Set up the theme, we're going to first install the theme. We'll go into Appearance and Themes, and we want to upload this theme into our site. I've saved the zip file and I've named it Executive Pro 3.0.1 so that I could recognize it easily. If you download it, it'll probably say Executive Pro. They don't put the version number in those files, and if you are updating from 3.0 to 3.01, you might not necessarily recognize it because the folder name is the same. So I'm going to choose that, install the theme files, load them in. There we go, and we're going to activate this theme to kick it off. And just to show you what you would initially see, I'll open up the theme, and as you can see, this looks nothing like the demo site yet. We're going to dissect the demo theme to figure out how they've done. With our theme file, StudioPress includes an XML file that allows us to upload some of the content. Not all of it's going to come through, like some of the pictures and things of that nature, but we can start to fill things up. To do that, we need to use the WordPress importer, which I've already installed on this particular site, and I will walk through how to grab that real quick. We'll go in. Again, I'll scroll to the actual folder that I have extracted this content to. And you'll notice that there's another folder, a subfolder within there. It's called XML, and that's got a file called the Executive Pro XML file. Select that file, select Choose, and this time I'm going to upload the file and import everything it can. Now, normally when you do imports into WordPress, they would attempt to grab the images by checking the box for import attachments. That doesn't always work when you're pulling in an XML file from StudioPress because they don't always maintain those images, or they don't always allow people to access the images from their servers. There we go, it pulls in some pages. Some of them it thinks they already exist. You'll notice that it's pulled in some pages. It's also pulled in some content items called Portfolio, and you'll notice that over here in WordPress with this theme we have a new section called Portfolio. This is it's a custom post type, so there's posts and pages, which you might be familiar with, and with the Executive Pro theme there's also something called the Portfolio or Portfolio items. Let's take a look at the demo site. There's the Portfolio page. So if you come into the menu system, the Portfolio page is up there. Here's the Portfolio items. This is basically set aside to show some portfolio images. Maybe you're a photographer or you've got some images that you want to show off. It doesn't even necessarily have to be photography. It could be like a slideshow or graphic items or a number of different things. Depends on what you're trying to show off, that is. Anyway, that's a custom post type within this new theme. So when we come in and select Portfolio, you'll see all of these items loaded into these Portfolio custom post types. If I go in and edit one of these, click Edit that is, you'll see a couple things. One, it attempted to load a featured image, but it's actually blank. And we're going to need that featured image to make this work. So that was for the Portfolio item for Antarctica. And if we come down here, here is our Antarctica. These are the images. These are all driven by the featured image. So I want to download these images. They've blocked that image now, so I may not be able to download that image. So I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, and I'll do a screen grab. So I'm going to pause the video while I do these screen grabs real quick. Okay, so I've gotten some screenshots, both of the portfolio images that I mentioned that were over here, as well as the featured images that are used in the slideshow right here, these large images that scroll across the top, and the little thumbnails. There's two sets of three, top and bottom here as well, so that we'll be able to power the home page also. And I've taken those screenshots, I've saved them down to my local site, and how this gets set up is that you have to add these screenshots into each of the featured image items within your portfolio or within your pages. So let's figure out where each of these goes, because we want to emulate things. So we want the Antarctica post to have these icebergs and things like that floating. That will be the featured image here. So to get that, I need to upload those images. This handy dandy place over here. So here's the first one. Now, I'm loading this straight into WordPress. I would advise that you use one of the image optimizers as well, something like WP.Smushit, smush.it that is. There are many others. Each of them have their own purposes, but you'll want these images optimized, especially the ones that are going to show up on your home page. But I do want to show you what this will look like straight out of the box. So there's a first one for Antarctica. Next one in order is Coeur d'Alene. Remove the bad one, add the good one, upload the file, and let's see. I think that's the one we want. Nope, no, the Coeur d'Alene was the previous one. We'll load that in. There it is. I think that other one's the Matterhorn. So I'm going to continue to load these in real quick for the other 6, and I'll get back to you in just a second. Okay, so we've just added the last one for Patagonia, and after you add each of these featured images, you need to hit the update button on these portfolio items. So we have all of the images loaded into the featured images for the portfolio. Let's hop over to our site over here. Still, this doesn't look like much because we haven't done any of the setup on the front of the page. So let's do a little work there so that you get a better sense of what our results are. First, let's get some menus going here. I'm going to show you where the menu systems, the default menu systems go, although you'll notice the menu system here is off to the right of the logo on the demo. I purposely turned these on over here just to show you where the primary and the secondary navigation might be, but that's not what's used on the demo site. You'll see that there's menu items, 2 different spots. One is below the logo. That's not what they have in the demo site. And then there's another one. It's hard to tell right now, but this is actually right above the bottom part of the footer. It's in the footer. So with the latest version of Genesis 2.1.1, they put the secondary menu items down just above the footer in many of the new themes. But we've been working on the portfolio page, so let's take a look at that. And you can see that our portfolio page is getting close. Actually, that defaulted over to there, so their menu system that they provided doesn't actually lead to the actual page. They've changed things on us. So let's go in and take a look at these menus. So we have a portfolio page, which they've customized in this case. They didn't add a true page. They have individual pages for the portfolio, but they don't have the actual portfolio page. So to set this truly up for ourselves, I'm going to copy our own domain and replace the one that they provided. Make Make sure I lose that extra hashtag. I believe this is mentioned in their instructions. Find the section, I'll show it to you. So here they mention how to create a portfolio archive page. That's the section you're looking for. And they show that example that we've already been looking at. And they mention that it will show up under this particular category, but you have to set up an archive setting in your WordPress admin panel. To do that, they provide some additional instructions on what you might call that. So you'll notice we need to go into the archive settings and then name this portfolio. So let's do that real quick. So we'll come back over here, portfolio, go into archive settings, portfolio, and they've got some text they want us to put in there, which I believe is just this dummy text here. They've got the title, they've got the text, some intro text. You could also SEO it up if you like. We'll save that and see if that gets us there yet. So now as we come in, now points to our section. So it's not redirecting over to their site, but you'll notice that this is still not our true page. So we're missing a beat. Over here it says you can view the portfolio archive. Let's see where this link takes us. Aha! We're adding, so here it is. We've just, we included a blurb that we didn't need to have there. So let's go back to our menus. You'll notice I was following their instructions. And this is one of the reasons why we make these videos, because sometimes the instructions will lead you off in the wrong direction. They give you this great example, and it is the example they have for their site, but that's because their demo is in a subdirectory called executive. And I mistook that for a sub page and left the executive item in there. See, right there. This should not be in our link. Should just be /portfolio. So we'll save this again, and now our menu system should work just fine. Open it up one more time, go to the page templates, and voila, we're close. Now we've got some other work to do on this theme. This is just, we're just getting started, but that's part one. Now I'm going to come back in here and turn these menus off because they're not supposed to be turned on. If you like them, if you like the way they look, you can have them turned on. And actually, I'm going to leave the secondary navigation on in the footer because personally I do kind of like that. But what we really want is a custom menu in a widget. So I've gone into Appearance and gone down to Widgets, and you'll see there are a number of different widgets available for this particular theme. One of those widgets that comes with Genesis is called Custom Menu. And we're going to drag it over here, and I'm going to choose the primary navigation menu. So it's a menu that we created, and it's going to put it in the header right, which is a section that appears to the right of the logo area. And now when we view our site, our menu shows up over here on the right. We've got a lot of other stuff to add, so the home page is still quite barren and doesn't look much like the home page on the demo yet. We've got a ways to go. Okay, so we're done with that particular widget. We're going to need a slider in the top, and I've already loaded a widget in there, or one defaulted in there for me, but I have the Genesis responsive slider plugin running on this site already. There are several different plugins that you'll need for this theme. You'll need the Genesis eNews Extended plugin, the responsive slider, and the Regenerate Thumbnails plugin. That's just part of it though. To actually get into the slider settings, we need to come up here into the Genesis menu item and then come into the sub item for slider settings. Now we're going to need to connect this to the proper blog posts that run through this slider. So each of these items up here, you'll see that there's 3 of them. I'll toggle through them real quick. Okay, here we go. There's 3 images. I've downloaded those separately, but these are all featured images that go with particular blog posts. And they're blog posts that I believe are in category 1. With the Genesis responsive slider settings, you can pick whether you want the slider images powered by featured images on a post, or on specific pages, or on portfolio items, which is a custom post type. And in this demo, they've connected it to 3 posts that happen to be in the same category. So we want to pick the category that they fall within. And if you wanted to have multiple categories or a higher level category, you could do that as well and then exclude some categories. Or you could exclude some posts as well. So if you liked 4 or 5 of the slides or the images on some of those categories, but you didn't like 2 of them maybe, or maybe you could exclude them by excluding the post ID. And we're going to set the number of slides to 3 to match. I'm going to check the settings over here. So here are some of the specific settings for this theme. You need to set the number of slides to 3, maximum width to 1140, and height to 445. So let's check that, 1140, 445. Display post page title and slider, yes. Display post page content. So displays post content, those are both checked. Limit content to 100 characters. We have that done already. Slider excerpt in percentage terms. The width of that should be 30. And we have it as 30. Excerpt location top for the vertical and left for the horizontal. Top and left, we've got that as well. And make sure we hit our save settings. We'll do that also. Okay, now we're going to load the home page again real quick. It's not going to look right because we haven't added our featured images in yet. So you'll see each of these appears to be blank. Actually, there's a gray default featured image loaded in each of these, which we need to replace with the proper item. Work with each of these. I'm going to go into our dashboard real quick. I'm going to go to our posts. I'm going to filter this down to category 1. Looks like there's a bunch in category 1. So I'm going to work with the most recent 3, I believe. Category 1. Let's see if we can. Sample post with threaded comments is one of these. Sample post with threaded comments, that included the image of the woman. So we're going to come in, we're going to set our featured image. Again, we need to upload a file. And as you may recall, I had previously grabbed some images, took some screenshots. So I'm going to come over here, find my screenshot. In this case, this is a relatively large image. It's a screenshot. I wasn't able to download their image. Load that up. That's 1.4 megabytes. That's kind of big. Before we run this, I will probably run these images through WPSmushIt. I'll go ahead and throw that into our video as well. Again, hit the update button after you add your image. We've got our featured images loaded. Let's take a look at the site just to catch us up on where things are. So we've got the image there. Now, our image is a little different than the demo site, and that's because the demo does not allow us to copy their image directly. So the sizes and things like that are a little different, but we're pretty much the same. Now next, we need to figure out how to populate these areas. So there's a couple different ways that we can decipher this. One is I'm going to inspect the source code for this item. Sometimes we can tell by the type of widget that's in use. In this case, I can see as I zoom in here that this is a featured page. That is a function within Genesis themes, not something you'll see in other frameworks. They call it something different. And to make this work, what we need to do is go into our widgets, and we need to add some specific pages. So we've added the slider to the slider section. Now we're going to be working in the home top section. We're going to pull in 3 different featured page widgets, 3 unique items. We have it, and we can see that these pages are named, or I believe they're named something like Development, Design, and Consulting. So we're going to scroll through and pick our pages, and we're going to show some content. And it looks like they have some read more text. And there's going to be an option for a thumbnail again. In this case, we need to know what size to use. That looks like a 300 by 100 to me, eyeballing it, but I'll go in and take a look at the code and see if I can identify that for sure. Definitely 300 wide. And as I look at the source code, I can see that that image is 300 wide and 100 pixels tall. Now, you can use something different if you like. You could use the same featured image size that's used on the portfolio. This is definitely something of choice and how you want it to look. I'm going to save that. And we're going to take a quick glance now. I doubt the image will actually show up initially because I haven't loaded these featured images in. And you'll notice also too, as I hover over this, development turns blue. It's actually hyperlinked, and development is down here below where the image should be instead of up high. And the reason for that is there's a couple different ways to set this up. This isn't clickable on the demo site. You can make it clickable if you like. They do not. They put it up here in the title area, and they turn off this item that says Show Page Title. So what did we need? We need design and consulting also, so we'll come down here, pick up design, we'll show our featured image by checking the box, typing the title up here, same file size, show page content, we're going with about 100, and read more text, and we're going to repeat this with consulting. Save our work. Okay, and I'm going to minimize those down for the moment. While I'm in here, I'm going to take a look at the next section too. We've got innovation, telecommunications, and environment. And we'll double check to make sure that these are pages as well. It could be a featured post. It could be a blog post that you run through here, or a number of other things. It could be a text widget. So we're just making sure. And since I can't log into their WordPress site, I have to do a little backwards engineering. So I can definitely tell this is a featured page. I can see it in the class ID or in the ID here. So I know what this needs to be. I can tell by looking at it that it's the same size as the other ones. This is the home middle section. So I'm going to bring in 3 more Genesis featured page widgets. Do all of these at the same time so you get a nice firm understanding of how this works. And this time we've got innovation, telecommunications, and environment. Innovation. These pages are listed in alphabetical order, so telecommunications shows up right down there. Show our featured image, again, 300 by 100. Show our page content, 100 characters. Read more. I believe the last one was environment. There we go. Okay, now as we open this, just to check our work as we are proceeding, starting to look a little bit more. There's a section missing here in the middle. That's okay. We'll come back to that. We want to add the featured images for each of these. So I'm going to open each one of these pages up in a new tab. Since I'm already logged in, it will give me the option to edit each page. Just go ahead and load that for each of these, and I'll come back to them one at a time. Everybody has their own workflow for things like this. You may have your own, and usually you're not going to be copying another site manually, but this isn't a bad way. So let me refresh my memory. We need a small picture of the building, the design, and some consultant sitting around. Actually, I'll put that where I can see it just a little bit. So developments first. Scroll down here. Got too smart for my own good. Okay, select file. So we want the building first. There it is. Set the featured image. Update that page. I'm going to close these as I go. I'm going to refresh this first one just so that you can see it happening. So we've added that featured image, and now it fills it in. I'm going to do the next 5 all together, and I'm going to pause the video while I do that, and then I'll come back and show you the results. Okay, so I've added the last featured image. Hit Update Page, close it. I'm going to refresh this page, and we should see all of them light up. Okay, there we go. Moving along. So we've added our page widgets. So next within our widgets, we want to work with, we've done the home top, we've done the slider, we've done the middle, but we skipped the home call to action. This is a pretty snazzy little piece of the pie. So the concept is, the web design concept is that somebody's going to come through, they're going to see the scrolling images as they flip through the site. It might tell a little bit of the store and give some good positive impressions. Then we're going to jump into some of the main things that this particular company does, and then, hey, contact us today to do something. But if you didn't see something you're looking for, there's some other things that we do also, and then some more information on us, and you can contact us through other means. So the idea is to eventually draw people's eye from the top, the name of the company, down through the content, kind of over and right, and then come over and hit this big blue Contact Us button. That's the goal. So how do they do this? Well, we'll jump in and take a look at how they built this particular section. Looking at the code, we can see that they used a text widget within the section. So they've got a call to action banner. They've got another text widget. They're using a title, and then they've got 2 items here. You'll notice if you look at the code that they're separated with a class of 3/4 and 1/4. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but within Genesis, there's something styled in most themes that allows you to create columns that will be responsive and wrap down if necessary. You can do 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns, all the way up to 6 columns. In this particular case, I'm going to simply copy the HTML from this whole section. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a text widget. That's what they've used there. In this case, I'm going to choose my placement for the text widget in the home call to action section. I'm going to add the widget, drops it up here. This is our home call to action section. Now initially, I'm going to put this code in. I don't want everything that came with this. I only want some of the things because this is raw code, but I'm just doing this to save some time. This is a decent little shortcut. Now, I want this call to action banner not to be within the H4 items here, but I want it to actually be styled the way this widget would style the title. It happens to be the same, but I'm cleaning up the raw HTML. And then I want to get rid of this particular div that's added in later. Don't need that. And that leaves us with two things I want to separate in just a second. There's one div here with a line. It says, here's a great place to write something specific that you want your visitors to read. And then another one that is essentially a hyperlink for contact us today. If you can see that code right there. There's no true hyperlink in there. There's just a hashtag. But within the class, it's got two important things. It's got the button aligning right, and it's calling it a button. So I'm going to get rid of the extra spaces again, tighten that up, and I'm going to save this widget. And we're going to take a look at how this looks on our website now. So as we scroll down, you'll notice Contact Us Today is over there. Let's play a little bit and just see what happens if we change things up. I want you to see how this button works. So what happens if I change that to align left? Well, that put our button on the left. Maybe for some reason you want a button over there on the other side. What does it do? It doesn't. You see, it's just pulling it over a little bit because this is styled into columns. So Genesis is giving this whole section over here on the left, call to action banner, and this, it's giving it 3/4 of the space of this section, and it's giving the button 1/4. And the button can rest over on the right-hand side, or it can rest on the left-hand side of that quarter of space, but it won't take it all the way over here, for example. If we were to change the order of these items, this too would screw us up a little bit because Genesis requires you to identify what is the item that's first in the column. So I'm going to take out this word here first, and I'm going to add it up here. Now you'll notice that our title text is now kind of getting in the way. It's floating in over top of that. So that's not exactly a perfect solution yet, but we could do some things to change this around if we wanted to. I'm going to put it back the way it was for now, but you kind of get the idea. This isn't a full CSS or Genesis CSS tutorial. And of course, I'm changing the order. I've got to make sure I remove that word first, put it back over here to make it truly first. Okay, so that takes care of our call to action section. We've already done home middle. We added each of those featured pages in there. So let's take a look and see what we have left to do. Just to review, we've added our menu items. We've got our slider in. We've got the home top section with these 3 featured pages. We have our call to action. We have the home middle with 3 more pages. And there's this section down here. The footer. So let's see, what do we have in here? We've got a company profile. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 recent posts, some tags, and some search items. So let's jump in here and take a look. There's 3 different boxes for the footer. I'm going to guess they align with each of the columns, and we'll see if we can prove that out. Now I will mention that a lot of times with this particular design, if you don't put something in the first footer widget, nothing else will show up. I'll see if that is the case here with the Executive Pro. We'll put in the search and the tags in the far right item and see if search, oops, I don't want that, I want the tags next. And what type of tags are these? There's 2 types of tags. There's category And that's probably just tags. Okay. There's tags and categories, so it's probably categories. So let's take a look at our page. I'm expecting it not to work. I'm doing this partly so that you can see, just in case you've been stuck. See, we've added something to the footer, but nothing showed up. That's because something has to be in the first footer widget box before anything actually shows up. So let's put something in the first box. In this case, I'm going to put this information from the company profile. I suspect this is a text widget. So I'm going to jump in and see if I can confirm that. And as I look in the footer widgets area, I can see that it's widget text item. So it is. I'm going to copy that HTML. And I'm going to come down and add a text widget to footer number 1. Paste in my HTML. There's some extra stuff in here that I don't want. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oops, this should say company profile. Go to the extra items, and I'm going to save it. Now, we don't have anything in footer 2. We do have something in footer 3, but we do have something in the all-important footer 1. So let's see what happens. Light up our home page, review it, and voila. These show up over here in footer 3. Footer 1's lit up. We just need to add something to footer 2 to make it look like our demo page that we're trying to copy. Come into recent posts. We'll add it to footer 2. We'll change this from 5 to 9. I think that was approximately the number. Refresh our home page one more time, and there you have it. Now, we have a menu down here at the bottom. They do not use that. Personally, I like it, but for purposes of matching the test, I'm going to turn it off, because later I'm going to be running some speed tests to see just how fast this theme is. So we'll save that. A couple miscellaneous things. Let's take a look at their blog page. So they've got a couple other things going in their blog page. They've got some blog articles. They've got an email newsletter set up, a search box over here, and some recent posts. So we've got a little bit more widget work to do, because to make those things show up on the right, we need to fill out our primary sidebar. And to make that happen, we probably need the eNews extended widget, and we're going to need a search box and more recent posts. So we'll go ahead and add those while we're over here. Minimize that, and we'll minimize that. Now, I'm not setting this up with an actual feed. So initially, I'm going to save it, and we'll take a look at it. I don't have an actual service to connect this to, and I don't test the blog pages on our speed testing service. I only test the home page. If we come in here, let's check and see. If we go to the blog page, holy cow, there's no blog there. That's because we haven't set it up, so we'll need to, for some reason our blog page is in the trash. That's not where we want it. Let's take a look at our pages. Looks like a handful of things when we imported them went to trash for some reason. So let's restore our blog page. While we're in there, I'm going to take a look at the blog page. Key item, it needs to have a page template. Go to the page attributes right under the updates button. It should say blog, and ours does. So let's open this in a new tab again. Go to our blog page. It's not quite what we're looking for yet. It doesn't quite match. So let's see what else we need to change here. We likely need to come into our theme settings. Oops, not our theme settings, our Genesis theme settings. There we go. And we'll need to set a default layout with a sidebar on the right. And our content archives, we'll probably need to figure out what. Let's check the main settings. Pick a color, default layout, breadcrumbs. Here we are. Limit content to 0 Okay, so in their settings, they're not using a featured image on their blog post. They've got their post navigation set to 0. So they're unchecking this box and not showing a featured image. One key difference, they're displaying post content, but they're setting this down to 0, which I believe would show the whole article. So I'm going to come down here, save our settings, head over to our blog page, and we're mostly there. We don't have our newsletter widget working just yet. Let's see if we can get that going. So we want to put a title in, email newsletter. I'm going to abbreviate this just a little bit. You get the idea. Text to show after, not showing any. Form action has to take you somewhere, so you need a mailing list to actually make this particular plugin work. This won't just work all by itself. You'll need some service. Could be like a MailChimp, Constant Contact. There's a number of services out there. But the action would go here. And you would have to make that correspond with a number of different things. There's some input text where you can help guide people on what they should put, which they have here. Now, one of the differences, they add some periods after each of these to help make it obvious. And the button is something more like sign up. So we'll save that, open this in a new tab, finally go to our blog page, and we're sort of getting there. I think we have to put something in this form action field for it to do anything. So I'm going to see if I can cheat and just put a hashtag in there, a placeholder. And there you have it. Like I said, you would need a service. The service would tell you where to send people when they hit that sign up button. There is the setup for the Executive Pro theme from StudioPress. Hopefully that video tutorial will help you see some of the pitfalls to avoid and some of the good things that you can get out of this particular theme. It is one of the most popular. It's in the top 3 or 4 of the StudioPress themes out there. Not everything is what you see is what you get. And you've now seen behind the scenes with this video how to get whatever it might be that you want. We thank you, and if you want to see just how fast this theme is, check out some of our speed test results for this theme running on different hosting platforms, hosting companies. From our perspective, you can do a lot to optimize themes, but sometimes you have to start with a good host in the first place. And a good host can get you 80% of the way there. If you've enjoyed this video, please share this through social media, Twitter, Facebook. Feel free to subscribe to us or send us replies or questions if you'd like us to take a look at other themes or if you've got questions about this one. Thank you very much.